So the Ravens are heading to Cincinnati for a big-time divisional matchup. Lamar Jackson is 4-1 against Joe Burrow in his career, looking to make it 5-1 heading into Cincinnati. The Ravens, they're looking to get above 500 for the first time this season, winning 2 straight against the Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills, who were undefeated. And the Bengals, on the other side, are desperate for a win to avoid falling to 1-4 and significantly reducing their chances for a division title. Roquan Smith and some other big-time media analysts have already started chirping in this matchup, and it's going to be a lot of fun. These teams do not like each other. There's some bad blood for sure. We got the top matchups, injury updates, a full in-depth preview, and much more, so let's dive in to the content. First of all, let me remind you, this is what Roquan Smith had to say after walking into Cincinnati and beating them in their home turf last season.
Agreed, coming in here, taking over their place, getting a dub, and obviously the guys talk a lot, don't have a lot of respect for a lot of individuals. So you take that stuff personal, but it was a great win for the team, and I'm just excited to be able to head back to Baltimore on the plane, relaxing, feet kicked up with a nice dub.
So that was last year's statement from Roquan Smith. He said it's been like this ever since he's got here. They don't like each other. This is what he had to say this season in an interview yesterday about this matchup. He's trying to keep it cordial a little bit, saying we got respect for them, but deep down, he also says, man, we don't like each other. And but deep down, man, you could feel this matchup brewing. Check out what he had to say.
It's a highly anticipated game. It's a division game at the end of the day, and we know how much these games mean in a sense. And truth be told, they don't like us and we don't like them. So it's one of those type things. And we're just going to go out and play our game, and it's going to be a good game. So I'm excited for the matchup.
Why do you feel that there's those feelings between you guys?
Just watch the tape. You watch the tape, and I think across the board, since I've been here, it's been that way. But at the end of the day, it's a game that has to be played.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Those guys obviously has been good for a while with Burrow and the offensive weapons that they have. And then even from the defensive side of the ball, they got some really good players over there, a former player in Geno and whatnot. So got mad respect for those guys. But, at the end of the day, it's a game that has to be played. And I play for the Baltimore Ravens, and we've got to play Ravens style of football.
So in this matchup, here's a quick look at the stat leaders to give you an overview of kind of the studs on each one of these teams. Of course, we got to start with the quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. Lamar's leading the Ravens with 858 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Joe Burrow having himself a very nice season with 978 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Joe Burrow also with a 105.9 passer rating, which is good for top 5 in the NFL. Lamar Jackson a few points behind at 102.3. Both these quarterbacks throwing the ball very well right now. Lamar Jackson, obviously, with fewer attempts, averaging more in those attempts, more efficient per attempt at 7.9 per throw, while Joe Burrow is 18th in the NFL at 7.3. When it comes to QBR, these two quarterbacks are neck and neck. Joe Burrow at 6th overall in the NFL, Lamar Jackson at 7th. Two very talented, top-tier elite quarterbacks that are going to be putting on a show on Sunday afternoon. When it comes to rushing, the Ravens have the clear, distinct advantage in this category. They are the number 1 rushing team in football right now, over 220 yards per game, which is absolutely absurd. Derrick Henry's on pace right now to break 2,000 rushing yards. He's averaging 6 yards a carry. He has 480 yards and 5 touchdowns already. Zach Moss has been a little bit underwhelming for the Bengals. He's been efficient, but hasn't quite hit 4 yards a carry. 3.9, 187 yards, and 2 total touchdowns. When it comes to receiving, the Bengals have the clear advantage in this category. They got weapons on weapons on weapons. I mean, just when you thought, man, they got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, then they go ahead and add Yoshevich. They also have the rookie and Jermaine Burton. They added Mike Gesicki, who's an underrated tight end, Eric All in the draft. They also have another weapon there in Chase Brown, who has to be accounted for as well, who can take it to the house at any point. What's really improved about this version of the Cincinnati Bengals is their offensive line. And their offense has been well. The offense hasn't been the problem. It's been their defense that has not been great. That leads us to the next category here with sacks. Kyle Van Noy. He has 6 sacks for the Ravens, second in the NFL. At 33, 34 years old, he has 8 tackles and a forced fumble. Trey Hendrickson has 3 sacks. Trey Hendrickson's been the sole producer for the Cincinnati Bengals pass rush, and their defensive line has been very limited, but they're getting some guys back. They got a ton of guys coming back this week. We'll talk about that when we get to injuries. Interceptions, Marlon Humphrey has 1, 4 pass deflections. Von Bell is their leading interception leader with 1 and 1 pass deflection. Before we get on to key matchups, overall team stats, and more, I want you guys to check out on this show between James Jones, Emmanuel Eko, Chase Daniel. They have some fun conversations between Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, and the facts come out about who's actually the better passer in fourth quarter situations. You might be surprised.
And the question I want to ask you guys, who do you want to have the ball with 2 minutes left in the game, down 6 in the fourth quarter? Because if you just say that, like, down 6, all right, 2 minutes left, fourth quarter, game on the line, I would, like, almost automatically go Burrow.
Yeah, I would too.
All right.
Over who?
Or,
No.
but most people right now would say that, okay? Yeah. But in fact, it's opposite. Lamar is 8-16 in those games.
Come on, man.
14 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, higher rating than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's 5-23 when trailing in the fourth quarter. 5-23, 9 interceptions, 18 touchdowns, a worse passer rating than Lamar. So it's sort of like, why do I think that Joe Burrow is this all high and mighty? It's because he's playing from Leeds. He's still a really good quarterback.
Yeah, of course.
But like, it's time to give some respect to Lamar, because that, to me, as a quarterback, when we're in there, so many games come down to 2-minute drives. Who do you want the ball with your hand? It's Lamar.
So here's head-to-head passing with Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow has Lamar Jackson beat in completion percentage and in total yards, pretty close. Lamar Jackson has Joe Burrow beat in touchdown to interception rate. He has more touchdowns and less interceptions with a 5% TD rate and a 1.3 interception rate to Joe Burrow's 4.3 and 2.5. Lamar Jackson also has a better passer rating in these head-to-head matchups, 91.5 versus 89.5 for Joe Burrow. And then when you look at the rushing, of course, you know, it's not going to be close. Lamar Jackson has 257 yards, averaging 5.5 a carry, to Joe Burrow, 28 rushing yards, averaging 3.1 a carry, but does have 1 rushing touchdown thrown in there to Lamar Jackson's 0 rushing touchdowns. Can Lamar Jackson get on the board? Obviously, Lamar has rushed for touchdowns versus the Bengals, but this is just isolating head-to-head stats where Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson. The stats are crazy similar here with total yards, and these are 2 quarterbacks that are very good. You're going to be battling. All right, let's look at some team stats real quick. Ravens total offense are number 1 in the NFL, 429 yards per game to the Bengals. Pretty good offense, 12th, 338 per game. When it comes to passing, the Ravens are about middle of the pack, pretty balanced offense right now with the number 1 rushing attack and the middle of the pack, 17th overall passing attack. Not having to throw the ball a lot recently due to being in some pretty big leads in the last 2 weeks versus the Bills and the Cowboys. The Bengals are 7th in the NFL in passing offense at 236 yards per game. Ravens averaging about 20 yards less at 209.3. Rushing attack, we know this is absurd. What the Ravens are doing right now, 220 yards per game. Bengals are 23rd at 102.3, but 102.3 rushing yards per game isn't nothing to scoff at. The Bengals offensive line is much improved and they can carve some lanes for these running backs, especially the way Chase Brown looked last week. When it comes to scoring, very close here, neck and neck. The Ravens are 5th in the NFL. The Bengals are 9th in the NFL. 26.5 points per game versus 25.5, just averaging 1 point difference. The defense, man, these are 2 defenses that we know are better than they've been performing, especially when it comes to total stats on the season. The defense for the Ravens in overall yards is 13th. For the Bengals, it's 15th. So very close there. Run D, the Ravens have the number 1 rushing defense in football, 57.8 yards per game allowed. This is where the Bengals have been weak. They're 25th in the NFL in run defense, averaging 145.5 yards on the ground allowed. But that's been due to a lot of injuries on their front. That brings me to our next point. Here's a look at some injury updates for the Ravens and the Bengals. All 52 Ravens on the active roster were practicing today for the Baltimore Ravens. Here's a clip from Jonas Schaefer showing the offensive line getting going here, doing their drills. So Andrew Voorhees should return, the left guard who missed last week against Buffalo. But the Bengals on the other side, relatively healthy compared to what they have been on their front specifically. Trey Hendrickson suffered a neck stinger with 8 minutes left to go versus the Panthers. He should be good to go. B.J. Hill, Miles Murphy. B.J. Hill has missed some time. He should be back, a big boost to the defensive line, and specifically their run defense that's been very bad. Miles Murphy has not played a snap all season, got hurt in training camp, but was a first-round pick for them, outside linebacker / D-end. McKinley Jackson, a defensive tackle for them, all dressed and are expected to play for the Bengals. So they're getting back essentially 3 starters, and Miles Murphy, McKinley Jackson, and B.J. Hill on their defensive front, which will not only boost their run defense, but also should help them in the pass rush department as well. I still think the Ravens will have success on the ground. Baltimore played a pretty good front in the Buffalo Bills last week and pretty much did at will to them what they wanted to in the run department when we saw what Derrick Henry did, over 200 total yards. Mike Hilton, their starting nickel cornerback, who's a very good football player, veteran, smart guy who's had some experience against Lamar Jackson and matched up with guys like Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely in the past. If he misses, that could be a big-time mismatch opportunity for the Ravens to exploit the Bengals in pass defense because their corners are pretty young. Their secondary has been a little bit shaky at times. Cam Taylor-Britt, excellent corner, had a really rough week last week against the Panthers, however. If they're missing Mike Hilton, that's another guy in the secondary that it's another opportunity for the Ravens in the secondary. It's expected that he's a game-time decision, but he hasn't practiced all week. We'll see where that goes. But Zach Taylor, Bengals head coach, did say Trey Hendrickson, Miles Murphy, B.J. Hill, and McKinley Jackson will all play versus Baltimore. All right, so key matchups for this game. This is going to be fun. First off, we got Trey Hendrickson versus Ronnie Stanley, two of the best at their position in the NFL right now. Ronnie Stanley has bounced between number 1 and number 2 in terms of pass rush win rate. Trey Hendrickson, same thing as a pass rusher. So far this season, these two guys have been very good. Trey Hendrickson is a dominant edge rusher. He's got speed. He's got power. He's got relentless motor. He's just a really good football player. However, Ronnie Stanley's healthy for the first time in really years. And you're seeing that performance on the football field, what he's able to do to slow down some of these elite pass rushers he's played already through the first 4 weeks of the NFL season. The big stat here that should catch your eye is that Trey Hendrickson almost always plays against the left tackle. We got this stat here from our guy Cole Jackson on X. Snaps by alignment in 2024. Trey Hendrickson has lined up on the right side of the defense, which is against the left tackle, 164 times, on the left side twice. Same thing in 2023, 730 to 2, and then 2022, no snaps against the right tackle. So Trey Hendrickson is a left tackle matchup guy that they exclusively use in that manner. That means he'll see our best left tackle in a strength-on-strength matchup. Another big matchup here is obviously Derrick Henry versus the Bengals front, their front 7, and specifically if he gets back there in that second level, Geno Stone and Dax Hill, whoever else they have back there, safety's going to try to come and tackle Derrick Henry rolling downhill, which is not a fun assignment for any secondary player. And then I think this is my key, man. I really do. I feel like the Ravens tight ends are going to go off. While I think Isaiah Likely could feast on this Bengals defense and find some matchups with the linebackers and safeties, maybe because Mike Hilton may not play. Regardless, our tight ends have had success against the Bengals in the past, but I think this could be the Mandrews game, man. I really do. His season high is 50 yards, and I think he's going to double that. And I could see a game where he's flirting with 100 yards. I'm really excited about Mark Andrews. Remember the last time he played the Bengals, he had that devastating injury that knocked him out half the season before he returned for the AFC Championship. So this game could mean a lot to him. I'm sure, Lamar and Todd Monken want to get Mark Andrews going, and I think this could be the game. So I think the Bengals are going to score. I think their offense is really good. They're going to make plays. Joe Burrow is going to find on-time, in-rhythm throws. The receivers are going to make plays versus some of our corners. They're going to make plays. It is what it is. But I think we're going to make a lot of plays as well. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I have the Ravens 35 to the Bengals 31. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments section below. Let me know your score predictions, your top matchups, and everything else, man. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed today's preview. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.
Ray, when he wasn't looking, he ran me over.